Okay, as I said in the other podcast, I'm sitting here in the guest house without proper study desk to record at. Sorry. So I'm recording sitting on the bed. I saw that in the previous podcast the camera was moving a little too much because I'm holding the laptop in my lap as it is supposed to be, I guess. So anyway, this is a nice report. Oops. So a white paper. Oh my God, my computer has become so old now that. Oh yeah, finally the mouse is not working very well. Anyway. This is a report basically from WEF World Economic Forum in collaboration with BCG Boston Consulting Group on unlocking value chains with the power of technology. It's a white paper from earlier this year, first month of this year, and it's got some nice points. So I wanted to just give it a brief treatment here. Executive summary goes this way: climate impacts are escalating rapidly, but technology is paving the way to adaptation. So it's kind of an optimistic view, although most people will say technology may be there, but it's not available. So a lot of the developing countries, poor people, are facing impacts that they are not able to keep up with in terms of adaptation. So the main points here in the executive summary, I won't read the text details. As climate-related disasters intensify, leaders have no choice but to adapt. It's talking about leaders because they are the ones to translate technology advances into adaptation actions. Building climate resilience across value chains will unlock greater value for all. We'll see what that means, value chains. Technology, and actually it's already here a little bit. You can see how everything is related. Data, satellites, drones, precision agriculture, IoT, renewable energy. We'll look at food systems, manufacturing systems, and energy systems. The report provides data gaps, technology needs, and some case studies, which I'm going to skip and just focus on the important technologies that can help with adaptation and making the value chains resilient. Okay, so technology and data are accelerating adaptation and enabling collaboration. Again, optimistic. Leaders' investment in collaboration platforms will realize collective benefits of adaptation. So we'll see one example or one framework for how collaboration platforms can be set up. The main points: when establishing collaboration platforms, global leaders engage in climate adaptation by creating or joining forums with their value chains, define the value at stake to create a shared purpose for adaptation, standardize adaptation through common language and metrics so that you can actually track progress or reduce the risks, vulnerability, exposure, etc. Align on secure data sharing protocols, because data sharing is now, this is a global problem. Local adaptation is all local, global warming is all local in terms of impacts, but data sharing is needed to develop early warning systems, technologies, identifying needs, etc. Invest in innovation and infrastructure to host open technologies, obviously involve local communities and stakeholders to scale up adaptation solutions. So Eleanor Ostrom's work on sustaining the commons has shown very nicely how managing the commons at small scales works very well, but this global warming, global climate impacts and adaptation is very local, and yet it needs adaptation solutions to scale up, be transferable, etc. Right? So this is kind of a projection of physical risks by date. There are continents: Europe, North America, South America, Asia Pacific, Africa, and Middle East, and there are sectoral averages, and here are the sectors for greater than 3 degrees C warming by 2100 or greater than 2 degrees C warming by 2100. So this is what you will face in terms of physical risks by 2050. What are the sectors? Communication services, utilities, construction and infrastructure, materials, and so on, all the way to industrials. And you can see the various risk levels. I cut off the well, there are numbers, 10 to 15%. When it's red, it's greater than 25%, and you can see which regions are more vulnerable in which sector. So this gives you, these are projections, they have uncertainties, but nonetheless risks are something you cannot ignore. Despite the uncertainty, you have to take action. So that's where all the leadership comes in, right? So economic case for taking climate action now, as I said, once you know the risks, there are penalties for not taking action. So the economic case for taking climate action now, not instead, you can always use a high discount rate and say investing now is not going to be very useful, or that future generations will take care of themselves. But there is a cost associated with not taking action. So total economic impacts in a greater than 2 degrees C warming here. This is climate change costs and investments as share of cumulative global GDP until 2100 in terms of percentages could be 16 to 22%. The net cost of inaction is to reduce GDPs by 10 to 15%. So if you take action, this is incremental Paris-aligned climate actions, you can still have a lot of impacts. But if you have no action and didn't avoid economic impacts, then you're going to end up with cost of inaction. So avoided mitigation, cost of inaction in terms of avoided adaptation. This is lighter. Mitigation is here and adaptation is here. Unavoidable economic impact. So no matter what you do with the climate change, you are all going to have some costs anyway, and this is for less than 2 degrees C warming scenario by 2100. So anyway, the point is avoided risks save you a lot of money, but people don't always have a full grasp of how that works, right? When you put a system in place to reduce risks, and if it works, risks are reduced, then people think, wow, nothing happened, so why did we spend money? Well, nothing happened because you spent money, right? So here you have the various factors that get affected. I chopped off the, no, that's still, I managed to chop off the heading, so let me just read it off here before we move forward, because it's important. Oops. Here we are. So this is 6 text. Is that what I'm showing here? Natural resource. No, that's not. I already. Okay, here we are. Physical climate risks threaten value chains in 5 dimensions. Let me just put that in there so that next time I'm better prepared. I put in these podcasts, and then I obviously use them in class as well. So if I don't correct it here, then it's going to be something I might just forget. So sorry about this doing in real time, but oops. Okay, sorry. Here we are, back in action. Okay, so we are looking at physical climate risks that threaten the value chains in 5 dimensions: natural resources, operations, assets, employees, and markets. And obviously you have input supply of raw materials, production, processing and packaging, storage and distribution, retails and services, and end consumer. The people who have to bear the brunt of it and facilitate the use of technology for building resilience against physical climate risks are financial institutions, policymakers, and shaping agents. So shape context and influence behavior. Shaping agents shape context and influence behavior directly or through policymakers such as NGOs, donors, academia, communities, public influencers, and tech innovators. Okay, jumping ahead, frontier technologies are powering climate adaptation efforts. So we have advanced technologies now entering the mainstream very rapidly, of course, is artificial intelligence. Drones are everywhere for good and bad. Earth observations, facing some headwinds in the US, advanced computing, Internet of Things, augmented and virtual reality. They are working in concert to deliver key capabilities such as gathering, completing and processing data, strengthening planning and decision making, optimizing processes in real time, power discovery processes, nudge adaptive and risk reducing behavior. These power climate adaptation efforts, so adaptation cycle here. You are going from comprehending risks and opportunities to building resilience against future impacts, which should result in responding dynamically when impacts hit. So examples, AI-powered climate and weather models. I have a whole series on that. Supply chain optimization, advanced early warning systems. I have an entire course on that on my channel and so on. Focus on climate impacts in 3 key value chains. This report focuses on 3 key value chains. So nature resources such as food systems, assets such as energy systems. Here you have cereals as a case study, renewables as a case study here, and manufacturing systems under operations. So here you have automotive as a case study. As I said, I won't read the case studies. So let's look at 6 tech-driven use cases showing us how food systems can be adapted to climate-related disruptions. Okay, precision farming, which needs sensing and irrigation management. Digital agri platforms, so for businesses and marketplaces. Food supply chain technologies. I have a podcast on how to deal with food systems to reduce their impact on climate change, also making them resilient. Regenerative agriculture, of course, important for mitigating agricultural impact on climate change as well as ensuring continued food production and food security, water security, energy security, etc. Agri-biotech, so you have various technologies already playing out, gene editing, biofertilizers, biopesticides, and so on, and novel farming systems such as vertical and hydroponic farming, right? Next sector, 4 tech-driven use cases to help energy systems adapt to climate-related disruptions. Climate impact modeling, so asset monitoring, grid modeling, early warning. So when you talk about climate resilience, you're typically talking about longer terms, but there's a shorter term management, day-to-day weather extremes, etc., which require early warnings as well. Real-time energy management, so peak demand, grid stabilization, failure avoidance, and waste reduction, which are all technology-driven, assisted greatly by advances in technology. Early warning systems here, as I mentioned, extreme weather and event monitoring, wildfire risk monitoring, flood detection and prevention, and emergency response, of course, power continuity in disasters, smart battery and storage management. Now you have to combine storage because renewables like solar and wind are intermittent as well, right? So you have to deal with those. Next one, 4 tech-driven use cases to help manufacturing systems adapt to climate-related disruptions. Digital supply chain platforms, advanced predictive maintenance, energy early warning systems, and energy emergency response. So energy systems also play into manufacturing systems because all of the manufacturing systems, of course, depend on energy. So you have real-time supply chain optimization, supplier risk assessment, climate-driven demand forecasting. So you may be sitting happily in a place that's not being affected heavily by climate, but where your raw materials come from, which could be far away on the planet or in another part of the country where climate impacts are very much a factor. So you have to worry about your supply chain optimization as well with technology in this context. Okay, manufacturing systems. Why did I go back? Oops, I have somehow put it. No, there are a few more. What did I do here? Digital supply chain platforms, advanced predictive maintenance, energy. So advanced heating and cooling systems, automatic protection systems, advanced predictive maintenance, which is already here. So I have somehow mixed up things, but it doesn't matter. They are still tech-driven use cases to help manufacturing systems. Okay, so this is for climate-related disruptions. I forgot what I read a few months ago. And this is for tech-driven use cases to help manufacturing systems adapt to climate-related disruptions. Same thing. Anyway, let's leave it here. Collaboration platforms provide data, tech, and insights to accelerate adaptation. So you have public and private data sources in terms of Earth observation, drones, Internet of Things, scientific and academic research, which is where most of us contribute, and other data sources, could be crowdsourced data, etc. Unlocking and sharing climate and value chain data, integrating and developing technologies for adaptation with AI foundation models, data analytic engines, open source applications, actual and virtual reality visualizations, augmented and virtual realities, infrastructure, standard data, and so on to support implementation with shared experience insights. So comprehend the risk, build resilience, and respond dynamically. It's not like you build resilience and you're safe forever. You have to have flexibility of adaptation and respond dynamically, because systems keep changing, sea level keeps rising, heat waves keep increasing in duration, intensity, frequency, scales, and so on, right? So here are some examples of successful collaboration platforms implemented across value chains. I won't read the details, but it's Carbon Disclosure Project here. This is Science-Based Target, SBTI, which is something that many companies, it's an NGO-led coalition of organizations. Many corporations use SBTIs for planning their targets. Task Force on Scaling Voluntary Carbon Markets, Unilever and Google. Unilever partnered with Google to monitor the deforestation-free sourcing of palm oil using data analytics and Earth observations. This collaboration improves supply chain reliability and compliance with the forthcoming EU deforestation regulation, creating a scalable blueprint for responsible supply chain practices, not only for palm oil but for other things as well. 6 actions to set up value chain-wide collaboration platforms. Come together, align under a common North Star guiding principle, set clear standards, unlock shared data, invest in tech foundations, deploy locally, and scale up. Okay, so here that's the end of the PowerPoint, but let me go ahead and clarify what happened there with I wanted to see why I got figure 10 a little bit messed up. Okay, I'm not. So I have to do this in real time, because as I said, I try to do this whenever I have free time, and sometimes I'm not on top of things, right? So it happens. Sorry. It's volunteer, it's free, so you have to just see what I provide. So these are the ones we were looking at. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I just mixed it up. Nothing wrong, but I just took something out. Anyway, should I do that here? Let me not bother. Okay, anyway, we'll see you in the next topic, but you get the point. I like the report. It's succinct, only about 39 pages with front and back material. So very kind of informative in terms of the technologies linking to value chains and how that feeds into resilience against climate change. Okay, let's leave it here.